How is it going? How y'all been? It's not been too long. Less than 12 hours, I think. So, yeah. We have 12 questions, right? I finished 4. But before I go on to the next question, because listen, I'm planning to get 75, at least 75% done for this live stream. So that means 12 and 9 questions. We're gonna finish 9 questions, which seems rather plausible, I think. If we really, really lock in until like 8 p.m. And then after that, I'll have to pray Maghrib and then go outside, run some errands. And yeah, that'll be the end of that. But yeah, as I was saying, like, before we get started on the rest of the questions, I wanted to go over number 4, which was to draw the image of this set here, and as well as the transformation, the Mobius transformation here, w equals 1 over z. So since we have that z is centered at I, right? Because z minus I being less than 1, in the z intervals, right? It'd mean that it's 0. Like it has to be 0 or, less than that, whatever. Because it can't be, if it's in absolute values, it can't be like, you know what I mean? So long story short, centered at I. And because it's less than 1 and not less than or equal to 1, that means it's a disk, not a circle, because a disk is when it's less than 1, so it's like the boundary is dotted. But a circle would, if it were to have that equal sign on the bottom, that little um, line under the less than sign, that would make it a full, like a solid line instead of a dashed. So being centered at 1, we know that the radius is nearly 1. It's just 1 with like a dashed boundary. So it'd be centered at 1, then we have that unit circle up there. And that's very simple to draw, right? But we have to notice where the dots are being put, right? So we have the dot where it hits the origin, and that part specifically is really, really important. That if it were to pass the origin or go through the origin, then we know by the rule of the Mobius theorem or Mobius transformation rules that the lines and circles goes to lines and circles. However, if the circle passes the origin, then we know it has to be a line. And so what do we do here? We take our points. We know that the points are at 0, 1 plus I, right? Because it's centered at I, but the unit circle is 1 across, and so this we know as at 1 for the real numbers, but for the imaginary numbers, it's at I. So the dot would be pointed at 1 plus I. The point would be at 1 plus I. And the top would be 2I, right? Because otherwise, if it were in the origin, it would be the top would be at I. But because we moved it 1 up because the center is at I, then it's at 2I. So what do we do with these points? 0, 2I, 1 plus I. Well, we have to plug it into this formula here for the transformation of the Mobius transformation. And what grade? Hello, Smarty Smith. Welcome to the stream. This is not your typical school grade type of math. This is university level. This is complex variables. But it's actually pretty simple if you learn about it, because all these things are just a recollection of everything that you've learned from the past. And the new things like the Mobius transformation term it's not that hard. It's literally line circles going to lines and circles except when the circle passes through the origin. Like this is something that anybody could even a kid could learn, right? It's not something too difficult to grasp. However, it just looks harder than it is. Yeah, this makes no sense because I'm in 5th grade. Do not put yourself down. The number one thing that I always tell people who join this stream and who find this to look really difficult is that you are capable of doing these things. It's just you may look like or feel like you're not fit for it, or that you're not smart enough, or that you just very un inexperienced. But trust me, with enough practice, like even a fifth grader, and not to put fifth graders down when I say even, but to to shock you and like to your surprise, you'd find out that even fifth graders can do this. But yeah, I feel like once you get to this level, once you start learning this subject of complex variables by yourself, eventually you're gonna be surprised. You're like, oh, finally, I know what all this means. And it's like, it makes you excited to learn more. So yeah, hopefully that happens eventually. You come to that conclusion. But afterwards, when we plug it into the W, we know that 1 over 0 it goes towards infinity, because 0 is like, you know, you'd think that it's like undefined if there's a 0 on the bottom or whatever, but 0 is actually a really small number. Like if you think it's like 0 plus or 0 negative, because in calculus, right? 1 over 0, anything on like a really small number on the bottom makes the whole entire number go towards infinity. And the same goes for like a really large number, right? If you had 1 over a really large number, it basically goes towards 0. So over here, it goes towards infinity, this point right here, when it transforms. But if we look at the finite points, this is infinity, right? So it's not finite. This one is 1 over 1 plus I, right? Because that was this point here. We plugged it into 1 plus z. We have 1 over 1 plus I here. And if we just multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate of the denominator, right? Because we don't want I on the denominator. That'd make it, that's just kind of like, it's not an improper form. It's just more complex. Like we don't want it on the denominator. So we multiply it by the conjugate. And what do we get? The top stays the same. It's just 1 plus I, 1 minus I, right? Because we're multiplying it by 1. The denominator, when you FOIL it, we have 1 times 1, I times 1, I times negative I, and 1 times negative I. So the positive I and the negative I cancel out. You're left with 1 plus negative I squared. What is I squared? It's just negative 1, because it's an imaginary number. And then that times a negative sign just gives you 1. So you have 1 plus 1. That's for the denominator. And yo, Paron, welcome back to the stream. How's it going? Brain hurting already from all this, bro. Like, come on. I think I explained it pretty simply. So, bro, what the hell? I found a stream of a grown man V2ing the avatar in and his avatar was a furry maid suit. Awesome guy. First of all, welcome to the stream, and second of all, I'm so sorry you had to see that. People, they don't do this normally. Just don't trust that that person is like that in person. They probably just do it for the views or for the attention, and it really says a lot about them that maybe they grew up a certain way where they didn't get all that attention, and so they need it through other means, and those are not the healthiest means, because we want to be recognized through positive things that benefit people, things that improve other people's lives. And this is, although it's not harmful, like physically or anything, it's still detrimental. So it does have a level of harm. It's more on the negative side if you think about it. And yeah, I hope the fact that you came across that even on accident, it uh lets you know that something you could infer from that is that you don't want to become like that, so that you improve, or choose to do better things, so that you don't fall into that kind of category. It's just normal, don't worry, bro. I have met a lot. Wait, oh, that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry you guys had to meet that kind of people, but it's okay. Just listening without understanding a speckle of thing you're learning. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi Astro. Welcome back to the stream. As a VCD student, I get it 100%. What are you talking about? Really? You get it 100%? What is a VCD student? Let me search that up. VCD. Vocal cord dysfunction? What? Video CD. So what do you call it? Subject. Visual communication design. Okay. Is that what it is supposed to be? I'm not sure. Is it pre-recorded? Hello, Oshi. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. It right now it's live, but afterwards it will be publicized, so you could, watch it later. It is pre-recorded. I mean, it's not pre-recorded. Uh it's recorded. Visual communication design. Yeah, 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 I see. Hello, Thunder 97. Welcome to the stream. I feel like you've been here. If not, welcome. Oh, Dre, do you know the new hantavirus? I've heard of it. I'm not sure how common it is. Sorry, this camera shaking. Because they said it's not so it's not as contagious or, you know, easily spread as coronavirus was, COVID-19. So I'm not sure why they're making a big deal out of it. It's like yeah, if it I know it's really deadly though, and I hope whoever has it they get better, but it's not like it's gonna affect the entire world like that, you know what I mean? 2020 vibes. Yeah, everyone's getting kind of pumped up because they missed the 2020 era. Like I personally I enjoyed lockdown because it was really fun. I don't know how or why. I pretty much forgot everything, but I honestly don't have any bad memories from COVID. Even while I had COVID like a couple times, even while I was on my bed, I was just watching anime, having the time of my life. Like no school, just watching anime, relaxing, just trying to get better, having no problems in lockdown, not having to go anywhere. That was actually so fun. Obviously, I'm just reminiscing. It was actually not fun while I was going through it, of course. But yeah, now we need to survive season two. Nah, man. We're done with that. Hopefully, hantavirus does not affect us like COVID did, because a lot of people actually had a lot of hard times. As you could probably imagine, those people who are struggling with like addictions or, loneliness or mental health um, disorders, it was probably pretty bad for them. And especially if you're going through, like, for example, grief, if somebody died, being outside helps you so much. And to be stuck in lockdown, I feel very sad for people who had to go through that, and it was really hard for them. But for me personally, I'm glad I didn't have to. You know, hantavirus. If it has to come, then let it come. That's all I'm gonna say. So back to what I was explaining, right? The Mobius transformation here. We know that it has to become a line because this disk centered at I does touch the origin. So when that happens, it becomes a line. But where do we draw the line here? So let's see. Let's see through the transformation what we get. We had infinity, right? Because 1/0 goes towards infinity. Because zero is like a really small number. 1/1 plus I multiplied by the conjugate, we get 1 minus I over 2, as I explained. And 1/2I. Again, we could multiply it by I over I, right? That's just one. That's just a trick to get the I on the numerator, since you want it like that. Um, so yeah, 1 minus I over 2 is just 1/2 minus I over 2. And if we look at the imaginary part, so we're focusing on the imaginary parts, we have negative I over 2 for this, and then for this one, we have I over -2. That's an I. It doesn't look like it, but it is. So if both of them are at negative I over 2, then we know that the imaginary part of the line has to be on the negative I. So we're focusing on the imaginary line. And why is that instead of the real line? Is because, well, the line has to be, well, nothing says it has to be like vertical or horizontal, but uh yeah, because I said so. I think the V value is wrong. There ain't no V, bro. Troll Ruben, welcome to the stream. I was like 12 when COVID pop out. Dang, 12 years old. Drew, okay. So even if it hit us, we'll be pretty ready. We already have fresh experience. Yeah, yeah, we're good. Man, lockdown was such a huge blessing for the people in school and stuff. But yeah, we're already ready, right? We have the Zoom links ready and everyone's prepared. 2020 wasn't even that bad. Like, do y'all know those 2020 TikTok videos where they say you had a hard day? Where are you sleeping the hardest? Oh yeah, bro. And then they show you those AI videos of like different types of rooms with like the comfiest beds or like the coldest, ugliest places. Yeah, those are fun. Nah, man, we're still struggling financially because of COVID worldwide. Yeah, that part is really sad. COVID had its pros and its cons, but I'm glad most people um either got out of that or didn't get affected as much, but definitely people are still suffering and it's really sad. We have to help those people and yeah. I think um for some reason we went out more during COVID and lockdown than before that happened. It was so fun, bro. I remember just going to the grocery store at Target and it was so empty. I was like, "Oh my God, this is so nice." I've never been to a grocery store with nobody in there. So I was just strolling and it was so I think some people would have found it creepy if they did that, but for me, it was like, yeah, it's like introvert like heaven. So you're getting the aftermath effects of COVID? I'm not sure. Yeah, how are you struggling, Aoshi, from COVID? Like, how are you still struggling? But you said worldwide, so it probably doesn't like it's not probably not about you specifically. But for some people, like the Door Dashers, the Instacarters, the people with like small jobs who struggle financially, they actually benefited a lot during COVID. But businesses, small businesses especially, they had to close down, and that was really sad. So yeah, we look at the imaginary points and we draw it at negative half, right? Because the imaginary parts of these dots that we transformed with this Mobius transformation all pointed towards negative half. But my question is, why do we look at the imaginary parts? Um, Identify the image of the boundary. The two finite images points are half minus 1 over I over 2 and negative I over 2. Both lie on the horizontal line. So because it's on the horizontal line, both of them, then we disregard the real number and we just focus on the imaginary number. So that's why we look at this, just the imaginary number. So yeah, that checks out. For number 5, however, the problem is about the Mobius transformation from the negative real axis with a classic Mobius transformation, z minus I, or z minus 1 over z plus 1. C minus the negative real axis, not 1, sorry, 0. And then the transformation is z minus 1 all over z plus 1. Hello, yo, Reels, brother gaming. Welcome back to the stream. How is it going? Are you feeling better? Like I remember you a long time ago, you were complaining about your asthma, like it was really bad, and you had to go to the hospital. Is that happening anymore? Just curious. So during the pandemic, it wasn't the virus I'm scared about. It was the checkup. The put long tube things down our nostrils, but it felt like it was pushing my brain. If you know, you know. Yeah, I've been there, bro. The COVID testing. Uh, it was the people did it for us. So I'm grateful the person who took my COVID test didn't, go too uh harshly or too aggressively. Uh, but yeah, I definitely heard a lot of people say like it was really painful, but it was very um, short lived. The worst part about COVID afterwards is not during COVID. It's like what we learned from it, with the government files being released and all about COVID being, the vaccines being made up of somebody's DNA, like somebody specific. I'm not gonna say the name. If you know, you know. That was insane to think about. Many of the financial problems we face now are simply remnants of the COVID crisis. Yeah, like especially like I don't know, like bakeries and things that would have really uh, you know, thrived if it weren't for COVID. So people still paying their debts and all. But I hope, they got like government help, like those checks, right? COVID checks. I forgot what the term was. Check for COVID. Not check, money for COVID. Like, what was the government money thing called? IRS penalty refund? Like, uh, relief payment, right? Stimulus check, that's what it was. Yeah, stimulus check. Well, obviously, the stimulus checks are not enough to bring up a whole small business up again, though. So, can you name some if you don't mind? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You could talk more about it if you need to. Like, that's pretty general to say that there are a lot of financial problems, but what exactly? Like, does your family run a business or like a restaurant business, something like that? Because if not a restaurant business, then y'all could thrive online, moving to online businesses. So yeah, we have the negative real axis and the Mobius transformation. So what we want to do is the solution tracks 0, -1 to infinity. These are important because the slit goes 0, -1 to negative infinity. Oh, wait. To figure out exactly, or equivalently 0, -1 to infinity, another negative real direction. So the map 0 z equals 0. Plug in 0, you get -1. 0 to -1. Map z equals -1, -1 to infinity. The point matters because -1 is on the slit and it becomes the breakpoint where the image runs off to infinity. So even if the numerator is at -2, if the denominator is 0, it will still go towards that direction. Which is pretty confusing. Like, if you take the limit of the Mobius transformation, then divide the top and the bottom by negative I over z. So then we take the. Oh, is this L'Hopital's? Oh, never mind, never mind. We don't. It's not L'Hopital's. It goes to 0, so negative r that becomes 1. So infinity goes towards 1. Understand what happened to the slit. The slit negative real axis has 3 key pieces in order: 0, -1 to negative infinity. Under the map, it's this comes 2 rays. So 0 to -1, like that way. -1 to infinity. And then negative infinity to 1. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see. Okay. So we have the negative real axis, right? Complex numbers minus the negative real axis. So the negative, it starts with 0, -1, -2, like that. What the heck is that math? I'm scared to see this math in life. Welcome to the stream, Jack Cat Walker 2. Don't be scared. Math is not gonna eat you up. Just kidding. It is. And I'm failing. And it's eating me up. So all I can do is pretend that it's not and reassure people that it's not that bad when it really is. Because I can. How are you guys? Yo, been chilling. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today we are locking in. Today we are, you know, doing our best with what we have, with the brains that we were issued. So the negative real axis starts at the origin and it goes towards negative infinity. So that's our z plane. So when we map it towards the actual the w plane, where this is the Mobius transformation, let's plug in 0. We get 0 minus 1 over 0 plus 1. That would give us negative 1. As for the negative 1, we have negative 1 minus 1 over negative 1 plus 1. Wait a second, that's negative 2 over 0, but listen, this doesn't go to 0 in calculus. When the denominator is 0, then it's really small, so then it goes towards infinity. Because that's how math works. It's supposed to confuse you. If it doesn't confuse you, you're doing it wrong. So negative 2 is what we're going to plug into z here. So negative 2 minus 1 over negative 2 plus 1. And then what does that give us? Negative 3 over negative 1, which is just 3. And then we see the pattern that just keeps going like that. So negative 3, where did I get that from? What? So we have 0 going to negative 1. It doesn't go to negative 1. 0 gives us negative 1 when we plug it in. And negative 1 gives us infinity. And negative 2 gives us 3. So if you map it, understand how about this slit, it becomes a double slit in the W plane. Alhamdulillah, I finished half my syllabus since Fajr, even though nobody asked. Ah, that's awesome. And I didn't even know to ask. But I do remember you said that you're gonna go to do your syllabus last stream, so yeah, that's awesome. Good to hear that. Because like, I wish I could finish half of this, but it's taking some time because it's kind of hard to understand a little bit. Like, where's this double slit coming from? Like, how does that work? If we look at the review solution, let's see. 0 goes to negative 1, negative 1 goes to infinity, infinity goes to 1. So the points are on the slit plane are mapped to this. So instead of negative 2, we should have done just infinity, and I don't know why. But yeah, when we do infinity, then we take the limit as n goes to infinity of the Mobius transformation z minus 1 over z plus 1. And then we transform this by multiplying each of the terms by 1 over z for the top and the bottom. That would give us 1 minus 1 over z all over 1 plus 1 over z. And when we take the limit, or z goes to infinity, right? I'm sorry. Then we get 1 minus 0, 1 plus 0, so it goes to 1. So half line from 0 through negative 1 to infinity is mapped to the half line from negative 1 to infinity along the negative real axis to infinity, then along the positive real axis to 1. Thus, the slit plane U is mapped to the double slit plane that slits from infinity up to negative 1 and from infinity back to 1. So it goes from this. That part is easy. But the transformation It's supposed to go like that way, like a motorcycle like that. Which is I can understand why that happens. Because I get it. We have infinity going to -1, going to -1. But it doesn't say negative infinity, it says just oh no, it says negative infinity going to 1. No, here it says infinity going to 1. Uh, -1 going to infinity. 0 going to -1. These don't make sense here. Maps to the real axis, but not as one simple finite segment. It becomes two rays. In other words, under the map 0 to -infinity, what do we have? We have 0 to -1. We have -1 here. -1 to infinity. And then negative infinity to 1. So we're not drawing a slit anymore. We're drawing where the slit is not continuing. No, 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 no. It does go from negative infinity to 1. But 0 to -1 is empty. That makes no sense whatsoever. Why is 0 to -1 not dotted, but negative infinity to 1 is? If we like solved for both of those. You write to question that the confusing part is that dotted removed parts is not based on which points were solved, it's based on what part of the original z-plane was removed. So this is the original, okay, that. So we moved the slit in the z-plane. Yeah, I know that. Under the map of this, the slit removed map in the double plane solution tracks 0, -1, infinity, because those are the landmarks points on that slit. Now split the slit into two pieces because these -1 makes the denominator 0. So if the denominator goes to 0 because of -1, you split it to two pieces. Oh, because -1 is where there's like a hole, like it's not. Huh? Why do we do that? Anyways, it looks like this, right? So piece 1 goes from 0 to -1. 0 to -1. Oh, because we're still looking at the negative axis. We're not looking at the positive side. Doing my Urdu homework and it's unfathomable. Oh my god. Why do I find my language much harder than English? Ah, that sucks. Your Urdu homework. Dang. That guy's just staring. His eyes are open. The president the president apparently is orange, so I think he's like a JD Vance. He's a vice president. He looks like him too, that meme. Alright, so mm, I'm trying to understand this. It's not clocking to me. So PZ goes from 0 to -1. For example, we have that Z is -1/2. So if we were to plug it in, we get -3. So the interval -1 between Z and 0, I mean, Z in between -1 and 0, the map to real values is less than or equal to -1. Negative infinity to -1. Man, it's not clocking. The grandeur is insane. Yeah. Dang, nobody's here. But that's okay. That means more locking in. But it's not clocking to me. I don't know. Maybe I have to walk around a bit, get a granola bar or something. Maybe I'll see what's in my sister's room, see if she has any snacks. So I don't normally eat seaweed, but chili lime seaweed looks kind of good right now, and it goes hard. It's like so little when it makes so much noise. It's good ASMR. But I won't eat it right now. I'll have to like finish this problem to reward myself. So we're using 0, -1, and infinity. Doesn't make sense. So 0 maps to -1 through the transformation. So we have -1. And if we map a -1, then it goes to infinity. And then infinity goes to 1. What maths is this game? Yo, it's Zare. Welcome to the stream. This is Complex Variables. And it's not making sense to me right now. But we'll make sense of it eventually. Just takes a bit of patience to unlock this. I'm gonna have to ask DeepSeek or Claude. I've never used Claude before. Claude AI. But you have to upgrade to Max or Pro to use it. What? Sign up or why is everybody raving about Claude if you have to pay for it? That's why I didn't use it. Joking, not quite sure. Intellectual topology spectrum fractals. Nah, this ain't topology. I might have to take that though. That sounds scary, man. But let's see. It goes to infinity. Wait, so piece one. Let's look at piece one. Goes from actually because the denominator goes to 0 with z equaling to -1. that's how we know it becomes two pieces because that -1 we can't count as part of the solution because that gives you no solution. And then for the piece 1, z goes from 0 to -1. If we plug in any number, we get it going towards the negative side. So anywhere from between 0 and -1, it goes less than -1. So 0 goes towards -1. And as 0 z equals to -1 plus, then it goes towards negative infinity. So this maps to -1 to negative infinity. Because we just plotted a point. As for piece 2, our test value is less than -1. For example, we have -2. Then any number between negative infinity and -1, the result would be a positive number. So w is greater than or equal to 1, so it goes towards infinity. So this maps to 1 going to infinity. How do you know it goes from 1 to infinity though? The real value is if it's greater than or equal to equal to 1. Why do we do it from between 0 and 1 and -1 to infinity? Why do we test from between 0 and -1 and -1 to infinity? Why those two intervals? Because the formula has a problem point, which is at -1. So since that breaks the slit into two pieces, the original removes the slit is the negative real axis, but because that -1 makes it undefined, we split it at that point, and then we test the two intervals. And then we see which ways it goes. So for piece 2, we have it between negative infinity and -1. And as z goes negative, w goes to positive. And as z goes to infinity, w goes to 1. Wait, we didn't test if it goes to infinity though. Did we? Z going to infinity. How did you know if you didn't test it? Because negative infinity was one of the endpoint landmark points of the slit and the solution treats it as using the limit. So when you do take the limit of negative infinity, you just get 1. Can you redo the question, but make it simpler step by step how to do it? Okay. Right using ChatGPT, Jojo. Yeah, I am. I always use ChatGPT. He's carried me through thick and thin, bro. He's my knight in shining armor. Take care, people. Bye. Been chilling. Gimme. Chili lime. It's 7:04 p.m. in the morning here. Oh, dang, it's pretty early there. You mean AM? I guess you're Indian too then, yeah. I'll be back in a minute. Jojo, you really locked in, huh? Yeah. Look at that. You gotta say that you're sorry at the end of the night. Beautiful. Wow. This is great. Great snack. It's healthy too, I think. Right? 100. This is 80 calories. Not 180. 30 calories per serving. One package. Oh, wow. This is seaweed. Roasted seaweed snack. It's so good. What are you eating? Seaweed. Roasted seaweed. I'm not gonna sing it though. That's haram. Because you're non-mahram. You're not family. I'm singing it in my head though. Alright, so identify the removed part. Song is haram. How so? So singing is haram because that's awra. Awra is the part that should be covered. And that includes vocal cords of of a girl, not a guy. But not like regular talking, just like singing. So music itself is haram as well because of the instruments. It takes you away from the remembrance of God. Yeah, singing is haram in Islamic culture, not towards certain people. Like if you're a girl, you can sing in front of other girls, but if you're a guy, you can sing towards everyone. But if you're a girl singing, that should be more hidden. Cause I don't know. That's how it is. I have the important points. Finally, they're using negative infinity. That was confusing me. They're just using infinity this whole time. Negative infinity goes to 1. Map each piece. Piece A from 0 to -1. Or 0 goes to -1. You map that 0 to -1. And -1 to infinity. But we need to know whether it goes towards infinity or negative infinity. But if there's 3 points, of piece A and B, but why do we have to find those points? 0 going to -1. Okay, as 0 goes to -1. Okay, this is the interval -1 to 0. We know that it goes towards -1 or that way, and -1 goes to infinity. Test one point between -1 and 0. So that's -1/2. It goes towards -3. So -1 to infinity. And then from -1 to negative infinity, if we know that -1 goes to infinity, so we test 2 points. Hold on. Where is this one coming from? Why are they putting these two? -1 to infinity. What are we plugging in? -2? Oh my god. What time is it in your place? It's 6:44 p.m. So do you pray every day? Yeah. You have to. It's what differentiates a Muslim from a non-Muslim. If you don't pray, your faith is questionable. It's like I know a lot of people they say you're not even Muslim anymore, but I wouldn't go that far. I would say like maybe you're still Muslim if you don't like purposely abandon it, but it's definitely questionable. Yeah, pray every day. Exactly. I mean, how could you not, you know? Sometimes I wake up and you don't even have to do this, but sometimes when you wake up like you could pray the post sunrise prayer. It's called duha. And or going to sleep, you could make wudu again, even if you don't have to pray. Wudu is what's it called? What's the it's a ritual, like a washing ritual, ablution. Yeah, that's what it is. So Yuki is playing around at it, like. So yeah, you have to make wudu before you pray every time, unless you don't break your ablution, which there's some conditions. Oh dang, my reflection. But yeah, you could also just do it before you go to sleep, just to for it's sunnah, it's a tradition. So yeah, sometimes when you're just grateful that you woke up one morning and you had a good sleep, how could you not? How could you not thank God in that way? The fact that praying is towards our benefit and that God doesn't need it is so wholesome as well. Like it's even more questioning. How could you not pray? So why do we even map the points if we can just split it and then test? Hmm. So it's not like you make it a empty circle at -1 and then you just dot the points on the other side, with those 2 points, right? Because there's a gap in between -1 and 1, that middle interval. And that's why we have to map the 3 points of the negative real axis, being negative infinity, -1, and 0. So we map the points, yeah, yeah, yeah. We see where it goes. -1, negative infinity goes to 1, -1 goes to infinity, and 0 goes to -1. So we plug in something between 0 and -1, which is -half, and see which way it goes. So it goes towards the negative. So we start at -1, and then we dot it towards infinity, negative infinity. Otherwise, it would have gone from 0 to infinity. Like here, for example, piece B is between negative infinity and -1. So what's a number like that? And the number in between that interval is -2. For example, and it could be any that you test, but for -2, we get 3. So the number closer to 3 is -1 here in that interval. So from -1 to infinity is where we dot the other side. So the middle interval is not removed. What? It's not. Oh my god, he's confusing me all over again. Cause wait, it's not in the negative thing. Oh, okay. So these are removed. Yo, your cats are getting fat. Belly train them. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yuki used to be so active when he was younger. He used to climb every single tree. Any tree that you see in our complex, he has climbed it before. But he's an old man now. For 3 to 4 years. Hi, yo, Panda. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? I just be yapping left and right about math. That was good though. What's happening? We're just doing some finals studying. So the mapping is here. Number one, we identify where z equals 0, or the denominator equals 0. Number two, we find our mapping, which is 0 maps to -1, -1 maps to infinity, and then negative infinity just maps to 1. So with these in mind, we know that we have 3 intervals over here, and then we test it out. Number 3, what we do is test. So find a number between 0 and -1. That's -half. So we plug it into the transformation of w. -half minus 1 over -half plus 1 gives us half here over -3 over 2 here, which is equal to just -half minus 1, -3 over 2, that's 1 over 2. That just gives us 3 over 2 times 2 over 1, -3. So we have -1 to infinity. So -1 to infinity is dotted. And then test number 2, we have -1 to infinity. What is a number between -1 and infinity? Hi, Iron Kill. Welcome to this stream. How's it going? It's really important to use grammar while you are speaking English, like having combo with someone else, conversation with someone else. As long as they get the gist, it's fine. Like, honestly, if you think about it, the purpose of language is for other people to understand what you're trying to say. And grammar is not that important when you want to get a point across. As long as you have the right verbs, adjectives, descriptions, nouns, whatever, it's fine. But sometimes it could be important. I don't know what an example for that is, but um basically it's not too important. But what prompted you to answer that? I mean, ask that. Wait, how's it going, Aaron Kia? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing great and feeling better than last night, inshallah. So we have -1, a -half that we tried here for this first mapping test. For the second test, -1 to infinity, let's try -2. -2 minus 1 over -2 plus 1 will give us -3 over -1, which is just 3. So we have -1 to infinity. Huh? Wait, we're testing out this interval of -1 to infinity. No, we just need to know it goes like that. We don't have to test all of them. That's so weird. Maybe when it comes to infinity, instead of picking a point in between that, we take the limit of infinity, right? This is negative infinity to negative 1. Negative 2 gives us 3. So the piece goes from the right side. Negative 2 goes 3. So from between 1 to infinity, that's where the dotted line goes, right? Because this thing we're testing is between negative 1 to infinity. Hello, Dummy Gaming YouTube. Welcome to the stream. I mean, what's up, dude? Yo, Money Heist is coming back with season 6. Have you watched Money Heist, Jojo? I've heard of it. I think my sister watched that show on Money Heist. I'm not sure if she liked it though. Maybe she did. I did hear her talk about it, but that was a long time ago. I forgot by now. So what I'm doing is testing points between each mapping that we found. And whatever way it goes, like dotting it from the closer point from the mapping to that direction. But it doesn't work because negative 1 to infinity goes to 3. So that's like dotting from negative 1 to the right side, which is wrong. It's exactly what the confusion is. Negative 1 to infinity goes to 3, not exactly. A test point negative 2 gives W equals 3, but the test point is not testing the piece from 0 to negative 1. It's testing the other side of negative 1. I know it's not from 0 to negative 1. It's testing that other side, negative 1 to infinity. The left of negative 1 in the z-plane maps to the right side of the w-plane. Why why is the left of negative 1 starting from 1 then? Because of the left side of negative 1 in the z-plane has endpoint z equals negative 1. And z equals negative infinity. So map those two endpoint limits. If two ends are this doesn't make sense. Season 1 was good, but the show should have stopped after that. You have exams too? Good luck, dog. Thank you, Duo Lick CR7. This is just problem 5. Like, I didn't even do any questions this whole stream except this one, and I spent 1 hour on this. When do you take the limit though? The limit goes each interval has two endpoint images. The test point only tells which path between those three endpoints. So we have 3 points, 3 mappings. This is one endpoint, and a test these. -1 to infinity, and 0 to -1. -infinity to 1, -1 to infinity. I need like a video for this. Image of slip plane under Mobius transformation. Is there a video for this? Z-1 plus Z plus 1.
Say you get a surf back on.
Oh my god. None of these videos are quite similar. Yo, I asked something, so better you scroll up. Okay. And Kia. It's a really great show. What kind of genre movies do you like? Oh, me? Sorry, I missed that. You're probably gone though. The views went to 0. Oh my gosh. Are you still here, Scott? Ask your teacher FaceTime right now. Okay, you're still here. Um, my favorite genre is like kind of like wholesome stuff. Or maybe like realistic stuff, like stuff that is possible to happen. It's like kind of like it should be based on a real story. I don't know if that's not even a genre. Like what genre is like Vinland Saga? That's like my favorite show. It's so epic. If ChatGPT can explain it, my teacher could not explain it at all. It becomes two ways, double slit with a W flip. When you say -1 to infinity, you mean on the right side? So as z approaches to -1, denominator becomes a positive. But yeah, how's your day going, Air Scott? Do you have any exams? Like, you're just chilling. You're so lucky, man. I wish I didn't have any exams. Please less than -1, like that. Then it's positive. He's the right dotted ray. I gotta ask. 0, -1, infinity gives us these three mappings: 0 to -1, -1 to infinity, infinity to 1. The half line from 0 to -1 is mapped from the half line from -1 to infinity. Along the negative real axis. Then along the positive real axis to 1, infinity to 1, infinity to -1, 0 to -1. So if you were to test that point 0 to -1, then you have that going to -3. I don't know. Yikes, this looks like pre-calc. Lotus in the wind, welcome to the stream. I'm done with calculus. Like, this is calculus a little bit, but I did pre-calc. I didn't do pre-calc. I did calc 1, 2, 3, but this is complex variables. It's so hard though. I'm not getting it. I don't have hand sanitizer because of that seaweed. This is hard. It's not. Nothing is hard. It's familiar or unfamiliar. And I did this before. I did it so many times before. I just forgot how it works. Explain it like I'm a fifth grader. Alright, there's a smooth slit. Okay. Road A and road B. Okay, that makes sense. Between 0 and -1, road A is pick a point there. Okay, so we have this point here, right? I mean, this is how it looks, just negative real axis. What grade course are you in? Uh this is a negative, I mean, this is uh complex variables. But yeah, welcome to the stream, Khalid Insha. Say your salams when you come in. You probably didn't know I'm Muslim, so Assalamu alaikum, Khalid. But yeah, Holly, welcome to the stream. How's it going? So we have -1 here. This is where the thing is 0. The thing breaks. So we have this side and we have that side. Hi. Yeah. So we have to see. We have to test these both sides. So we plug in a point from here, which is -1/2, and then it goes to -3. So A goes to the negative side. Because it likes -3, it goes from -1 to that side. So road A becomes -infinity to -1. Road B is less than -1. So that's like this side. So pick a point there, like -2, and then it goes to 3. So road B goes to the positive side. We also know that Z going to negative infinity, it goes from W to 1. Because of this point that we mapped, negative infinity goes to 1. So as you get closer to -1 from this side, the answer becomes a huge positive. As you get closer to -1 from this side. So we're testing out from this interval, -1 to infinity, right? We chose -2 over here. But it went to 3, so it goes like that way. So negative infinity goes to 1. So 1 is a very important spot here, just 1 there. So road B goes from 1 to infinity. Like that. We have like that. Original rule slave name. Because we tested these 2 points, we know the interval of negative infinity and -1, it goes towards 3. So since infinity goes to negative infinity goes to 1, that doesn't make sense. Why is it that when the test point, -half, going to negative, is dotted from -1 to infinity, if we are testing it between 0 and -1? Does that mean if it went to positive infinity, we would dot from 0 to positive infinity? Almost, but replace dot from 0 with dot from the mapped endpoint. We're not dotting from the original z points, we're dotting in the doubly planes that we mapped values. From the place between 0 and -1, the endpoint map is like this, 0 and -1. If it went from positive infinity, would we dot from 0 to -1? No, we would have dot in mapped. We would dot from the mapped endpoint of 0, which is 0 to negative infinity. So if the same key somehow went positive, the dotted gray would start at -1 because of the map endpoint. The endpoint of the mappings are -1, infinity, and 1. So because -half goes to -3 for our test point of 0 to -1, then you start at the endpoint, just -1, and it goes towards infinity. So it goes this way. And then as we test from the other side of the range -1 to infinity, or -1 to negative infinity. It goes to 3. At the endpoint here is from -1 to infinity. The endpoint is at 1 here. So 1 goes to 3. 1 goes to 3. Oh no. No, 1 goes to positive infinity. That's just the direction. It's not anything part of the plot. So that's how it goes. That's how it looks. So let's say we do something between -1 and 0. Or -1 and infinity. Say we do 1. Or like 2. Top would be 1 over 3. 1 over 3. The 2 goes that way. Infinity to 1. What if we tested 2? Okay, so only testing only from the dotted line. Negative wheel axis. Okay, nobody's watching the stream anymore. This is pretty crazy. I think I'm done now. I think I'm done with this question. We'll have to come back to it. Traumatic. I want to do up till question 9, but I spent 1+ hour on just one question.